my pleasure to invite you all for the national level webinar on biological warfare. The speaker will be Air Vice Marshal PKS Sinha, VSM retired, advisor BEL, Central Research Laboratory, Bengaluru. Now I'd like to request our HOD, Dr. Pramod Kumar Dash, Department of Aeronautical Engineering, to address the gathering.
And just welcomes all of you who have got the severe interest about this awareness and joined into that web tools. I thank all of you that you have selected us and you accepted us as the one of the higher education promoters. Second part is that this type of activities so far we have conducted number of studies, more than the 7 to 8 numbers already gone. In that sense, we have the other activities we are solely put into for your benefits, for your studies, for your improvement of your activities, all that things. So I hope you should cooperate with respect to the times, and also with on the line of this webinars, I want to introduce you that we have the several these facilities which will give the you an enormous opportunity to study higher educations in our department. We have the master degrees as well as the PhD degrees. Suppose anyone is interested, they can join to our aeronautical course. I hope you will enjoy this webinars, and any further queries you may contact with the AI. I should not take the more time because it's already late. You should enjoy this webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce our chief speaker, Air Vice Marshal PKS Sinha, VSM, Advisor BEL CRL, Bengaluru. Air Vice Marshal PKS Sinha, VSM, Aeronautical Engineer, was commissioned on 14th February 1983 in Indian Air Force and is trained on MiG-21, MiG-23BN and Sukhoi 30 MKI aircrafts. During 35 years of distinguished career, officer held important field and staff appointment like Senior Tech Officer of Fighter Sequence, Commanding Officer of 2 Air Force Liaison Establishment with HAL in Wing Commander and Group Captain rank, and as Air Commando held coveted appointment of Air Officer Commanding of Electronics Warfare System of Premier Base Repair Depot. As AVM, he held the prestigious post of Commandant of Software Development Institute at Bangalore. Before retirement on 30th September 2018, for 6 months, he worked with Aeronautical Development Establishment, DRDO, and looked after their aeronautical test range at Chitradurga as General Manager. Post-retirement, since 3rd October 2018, he is working with BEL Central Research Laboratory as advisor. He is also a member of think tank called Center of Knowledge Sovereignty. Officer has done MTech in laser technology from IIT Kanpur and is a graduate of Defense Service Staff College, Wellington. He has also done courses on aerospace safety, nuclear orientation, defense procurement policy, independent director program, and is qualified on clean engineering concepts from IIT Kharagpur. He is a recipient of Presidential Award Visishta Seva Medal in January 2016. So we are delighted to have Air Vice Marshal PKS Sinha, VSM retired, on this special occasion, and we are all thankful to the sir for sharing his valuable experience with us. Thank you, sir. Over to Air Vice Marshal PK Sinha.
Thanks, Sid. At the outset, let me thank NMIT Chairman, Aeronautical Head of Department, Dr. Dash, my course mate of Air Force, and your Professor Dr. Shetty, and webinar coordinator yourself, Sid. Thanks giving me opportunity to convey my thoughts on today's topic, biological warfare. I hope you all will agree with me that we are in unprecedented time, and courtesy COVID-19 virus, which was identified as COVID-19 in the province of Hubei, Wuhan, China, in December 19. And after a month, that is on 30th Jan 20, World Health Organization declared this spread of this virus as pandemic. And since then, the world order has changed. Another dominant factor that is changing today's world order is on the geopolitical scenario is the emergence of the red dragon, the superpower China. So presently, Corona from China, this combo are redefining the world order, be it in trade and commerce or politics and alliances, even culturally, the way we communicate. Nowadays, we are on webinar. Had been not webinar, we would have been, if not COVID, we would have directly interacted. So way of communication, and even it has changed the nature and characteristics of warfare. This is important to understand. China as a country is a very observant country, and it has imbibed all the good qualities from various countries and has today where it is as a superpower. What happened, you all must be aware, of course, the senior professors here must be very much aware that during the Desert Storm, the Gulf War, when Iraqis invaded Kuwait, and then USA alliance invaded Kuwait, Iraq, that operation was called Desert Storm. China learned a very, very important lesson from there. And seeing that, it evolved a strategy called war under informationalized condition. At that time, it understood the importance of media, the narrative, the news. And you all, the senior people must be aware that during that time, we were able to see on TV, sitting in our drawing room, sipping coffee, we could see how America was attacking Iraqis. So what China has learned that in case if we can manipulate the medias, the information, and we can then even make a narrative of our own and peddle it, and we can at times subdue the world. And after 10 years, it came out, it evolved on this basis, on this information war doctrine, three separate doctrines. It was called, the first one was psychological operations that can influence the mind and space. You can subdue an enemy without fighting a war, just brainwashing it. And then second doctrine was media. That means you can manipulate the media. You all must be aware. You have seen today the social media is so powerful that any fake narrative, if you want to spread, it can be. You can spread. You have seen in Bangalore, riots have taken place because of fake narratives. It can be done. It is easy. because people have got no ways and means to know whether it is fake or authentic. And if somebody wants it, it can be peddled. So this is very, very, you can mold the opinion. You can divide the society. And the biggest example I will quote of the US recently, you all must be aware, hashtag Black Lives Matters. This was where a black American died because of police atrocities, and thereafter riot broke. That was spontaneous. But behind this riot, the Chinese pumped in money so that a situation flare up and Trump can be at backhand. That was the policies. Even in the farmers' agitation at Delhi, which is taking place, you all must be aware there have been reports that Khalistani forces and other anti-national forces are pumping in money to divide the society. Anti-national narratives are being won. And the third, very important, this very important doctrine which Chinese evolved was the legal. That means you can fight a war by the legal means. For example, we are a democratic society, a country. We have free trade market. If we allow the FDI to come in, so any foreign company can come and can invest in India and can open the shop and can pump in money. You can buy other companies also. And these loopholes of a country is being studied and exploited by Chinese to take the domination on the trade. This is very important. And why all this type of things come to the Chinese? Because Chinese military strategy has evolved from the doctrine of a very famous military strategist called Sun Tzu. And this Sun Tzu, this is the book of his, called Art of War. It is as legendary as Kautilya's Arthashastra. He propounded that the warfare should be based on deception, deceit, diversionary tactics. He never wanted you to fight direct battle, indirect battle, by devious means. And he calls for to go and become disrespectful to the laws and agreements of the adversaries. This is very important. It teaches them. For example, if you want to attack on the sea, then first attack on the mountain, so that on Himalayas, so that you get diverted and actual attack comes on somewhere else. This is the diversion tactic. And this is in their blood. This is in their philosophy. This is in their culture. And China, as you are aware, is a big power and wants to project itself as superpower of the world on number one, better than US or Russia. And to achieve this superpower status, it uses 3 P's: propaganda, propaganda of its capabilities through foreign and supporting medias, through sponsored medias, through country of their liking, that China is a giant. Then they project their power, like in Ladakh, they brought 60,000 troops. And they don't fight, they provoke the adversary so that you fall in the trap. They will not directly attack, they will provoke you. These are the 3 P's by which it wants to emerge and it is emerging as a superpower. And to achieve this, all the 3 doctrines which I mentioned, from there, they are not using one doctrine. In fact, nowadays it's called hybrid warfare. From all the doctrines, some part or other they are using and utilizing to subdue the world, to emerge as superpower. And for this, they have used four C's. First is Corona. We'll see that. Second, they are doing cyber attack. Not only on India. On India, cyber attack China's have done. You all must be aware. You are well aware. China has got a cyber army of 1.5 lakh personnel. They build the data, they steal the data, they build the profiles and exploit your weaknesses, uses AI to target individual, target company, target nation. The third C is the cultural domination. They want to enter into your cultural domain and manipulate the story. Recently, Nepal, one of now their ally, Nepal suddenly made a news saying that Rama was born in Nepal, Ayodhya was in Nepal. All these are the cultural domination backed by China's. And the fourth C, which is they are using, is the commercial war. They have unleashed already. Belt and Road Initiative is the famous initiative which China is undertaking. And through this, they want to encircle the world by making road for their own trade. But wherever they in country they make, they first give them soft loan and pump in a lot of infrastructure. If and most of the countries like Tajikistan, like Pakistan, other Central Asian countries, you are not able to pay, then you go in the debt trap of the Chinese. This is the Chinese way of advancing there. Similarly, China, Pak Economic Corridor, CPEC, which is being built through Aksai Chin up to Gwadar from Xinjiang. This corridor is basically for their economic benefit, but again, they are trying to dominate the situation of Pakistan. Such type of warfare is hybrid warfare. No kinetic, no direct fighting. And I will not discuss all this warfare. We will restrict to the Corona. Coming to the main topic. Corona is a biological weapon and they have unleashed their biological warfare. Let us understand how. Please understand that this virus, this invisible virus, this non-living virus becomes living only when it enters a man, human being, was actually leaked from their Wuhan biological lab. And there was a project going on. And all these things are available, and you all are students nowadays. Before professor or before anybody says, you all can go on the Google and Wikipedia and can know much better. So you all can find out this. There is a conspiracy theory on the subject galore on the YouTube and even on the Wikipedias and the Google. That Corona was, the virus is not man-made. The virus is derived from the bat, but was being re-engineered. Its genetic sequencing was being reconstituted in a lab to make it more lethal or make it more infectious, whatever the aim would have been. And this was done jointly along with the Americans. And what happened? Somewhere in October, November, this biological corona, this virus got leaked. And the whole weapon program went awry. We'll see what was the strategy, why they wanted to do this. We'll understand. But before this, since we are talking on biological warfare, it's important to understand what is biological warfare, why there is attraction for this. I read, the biological warfare is the intentional use of microorganisms, pathogens like bacteria, toxins, generally of microbial, plant, or animal origin to produce diseases and deaths in humans, livestock, and crops. The attraction for using bioweapon is A. It is easy to have its access, and it can produce wide range of diseases. Its cost of production is almost nil, low. You get infected, you can infect hundreds. No cost involved. Just one sneeze, just one spooting. That's all. It cannot be detected by the normal security apparatus, security system. You can easily transport it from one place to another. Just take out your handkerchief, sneeze it, put it in your pocket, go throw it somewhere, and yes. And you can spread it, you can proliferate it through novel technologies in unprecedented way. I believe most of you are the students of aeronautical department. You all can think of how you can spread this disease. Drone is the best way, one of the most easiest way. And drone warfare itself is coming on getting highlighted. Again, you can Google and see. Last year, there was a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan won this decisive battle against Armenia and took control of Narabok desert because of drone warfare. Today, this unmanned vehicle can carry bombs apart from the normal intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance role. It used kamikaze type of from Israel and from Turkey drones that attack the tanks. And tanks, the weakness of the tank is their hull and the side is very, very hardened. But the top is soft and they attack from the top. So a lot of tanks, more than 300 odd tanks were destroyed. What I'm saying is today the drone sizes have been decreased. Swarm technology is being used and most of the engineering colleges are now working on this swarm drone technology. And you can think that this is the best way of proliferating such viruses. And one thing has to be understood. This is a bidirectional weapon. That means if not handled properly, it can infect the country which is attacking itself. So this is one has to be very, very careful and have to protect yourself or your country that the spread is not the other direction. This is not first time being used. It has been used from the ages. Earlier, biological and chemical warfare were combined together and they were getting weaponized because they give more bang for lesser bucks. It is cheap, small payloads, and you can score high deaths. And it is not very easy, but yes, it is. In a lab, you can produce it. In a biological lab, you want genetic engineers, you want agriculturists, you want biologists, you want some chemical person, and combine together their knowledge. You can do this. I will just read out just to give you a historical sense that this biological warfare has been used in earlier war also, not that effectively, but Now the time has come where this can be and this may be used frequently by rogue nations. World War War, World War One, 1914 to 1918, German used this uh, something called anthrax, which causes lesions all over the skin, to basically to sicken the cavalry horses. Similarly, in World War Two, Japan used it, and they used it for spreading a disease called, you all must be knowing, bubonic plague. And in fact, they bombarded in 1940 Ningpo, China, with this bubonic plague. However, because I said that these are bidirectional, in 1942, about 1,700 Japanese soldiers died due to their own biological weapon. They got infected. Similarly, in 1970, US used it against the Vietnam. In fact, they used something called Agent Orange. They spread as a mix of herbicides and this just to destroy the forest, so that Viet Cong who were hiding inside the forest, they would be seen and they would not be able to use the camouflage, and they were killed and bombarded. This is very, very attractive for terrorists. Just imagine if this become a terror weapon, what hell can be let loose. And it was used as a gastrointestinal anthrax in Afghanistan and in Tajikistan in 1999. And this accidental thing, like nuclear accident can take place from the nuclear reactors, the power reactors. Similarly, from the lab, like the one which we are talking. One case is there. In 1979, in Sverdlovsk, now Ekaterinburg in Russia, from one of the biological lab, this got leaked. And people came to know. How they came to know? Because their cattle, the ship started getting affected. And this factory was 200 kilometers. So with the wind, it came and it. So again, I'm repeating that was this biological weapon program which went awry. Again, why I'm again telling this is biological weapon? Because now I will just list out the characteristics of biological weapon. And you compare, because now you all know the characteristics of this corona COVID-19. So just compare it and come to your conclusion. The bioweapon characteristics are, it is a natural and odorless occurrence. It doesn't smell. Invisible particle normally disperse through aerosol. That means only if the sputum and my sneeze reaches you, you will get infected. It is not in the air. It is not airborne. Please understand. This is very, very important. It is aerosol. Entry through inhalation or ingestion. That is the only entry point for a human being, in the human being. And what is the treatment? Post-exposure only. You have to depend either on a very good antibiotics, generally for bacteria antibiotics, and for virus vaccines. And you cannot detect it in routine X-ray. There is no way. And this can be weaponized. That means in the artillery rounds, cluster bombs, in missile warheads, this bubonic plague things was put in the cluster bombs in World War II. Can be utilized. It. Production methods are simple, cheap, dependent on the knowledge of biology, genetics, engineering, medicine, agriculture. And it has the impunity to be used under camouflage condition. You will not know. Even if you are seeing, you will not know. And it can decimate, incapacitate large population, destroy livestock, crops, even the economic activity of a country can be brought to standing still. You know the effect of lockdown. Now the big question, why China did this? Why it wanted to use bioweapons? My assessment, purely my assessment, based on various news items, we are aware China wants to project as a superpower. And China wanted to declare this superpower in the coming centenary celebration of the Chinese Communist Party of China CPC. The centenary celebration is in July 21 this year. You will see there will be big grand gala glittering show. They wanted to project Xi Jinping as the great leader. Already Xi Jinping has utilized the communist constitutional powers to be declared the lifetime president. It's already declared. And he has been bestowed with the title of Core Navigator and Helmsman of China. Core Navigator and Helmsman. This is the title of China. This is after Mao Zedong. He is the Mao Zedong. After that, he is the person who has been given this award, this title. And the idea was that before this, China should project itself as a savior, as a great country. So what they had planned was to release this corona type virus somewhere in March 20. So that by the end of 20, China, because China was going to release it, China would have built the vaccines. And China would supply it to the world as a savior. That, listen, we are saving you. And people would have clapped and the nation would have clapped. So they wanted to do the DNA sequencing before that. This was the game plan. But the game plan went awry. The leak happened and everything started on fast track. Another game plan of using this backdrop of corona was that not only to dominate the economic activities of world over, because China today, you know, it is entangled in the supply chain of all the countries. It also wanted to use this to settle the scores with the borders and do the salami slicing. Salami slicing is the way Chinese operate. They come to your border, 20 kilometer, go back some 10 kilometer, and 10 kilometer they use it. That's the way they do. They have been doing, not only with us, they have done with Mongolia, with Russia, with Vietnam, with all countries, all landlocked boundary countries. And they tried with Nepal, tried with Bhutan also. And another interesting thing which you all should know, that China, though is a huge country, bigger than us, but it has not got free access to the ocean. That means it's ocean maritime, because any nation to become a superpower, it has to be a maritime power. Because most of the trades is done by the ship. So you should be able to navigate in the ship, in the ocean, at your free will. Bad luck of China, that South China Sea, which passes between the one side is Vietnam and the another side is Philippines. And this channel is very narrow, constricted. Similarly, East China Sea is between Korea one side and Japan, and between the East and South China Sea, the sitting Taiwan. They're most actually people of Chinese origin, but a different country, different ethos. Now, they wanted to, and they are taking, they have captured a lot of islands in these seas. They dump their own garbage, make island, and then reclaim this land and build. And then they say that okay, 20 kilometers is the my own zone, and then 200 kilometers economic zone, and you cannot go here and cannot go there, and they want to claim. That's why the Philippines, the Vietnamese, the Koreas, the Japans, everywhere, with everybody, it has taken panga. It wants to settle score because it wants unrestricted S-lock, sea line of communication. This is what China intends to do. But again, as I said, the leak happened and everything started moving in the fast forward. They had planned very beautifully that when India would be suffering with this, that time in April, they were carrying exercise, a regular exercise in Tibet zone, and that army they will divert, and they diverted. They diverted to Pangso, and they diverted to Lepsine, they diverted to Doklam, and other places. This is what they did. But not only one mistake, they did another mistake. Another mistake, a young colonel on the date was May, you all remember May and this thing, that Galwan incident took place, and May 20, and that's all. The Indians were Indians. They gave them back, which they never thought. Also, they never thought that Indians will be able to mobilize the way they have done it. We have brought about 50 to 60,000 troops on those Himalayan heights. Not only troops, the Air Force and all paraphernalia. Tanks have gone, you have seen. Artilleries have gone, everything. So one way we should thank China, because we were given a root shock and we were woken up from the slumber. Good that happened militarily, for security wise, and for a country to progress. And thus came the resolve of Atmanirbhar. In May 20 last year, Prime Minister gave the clarion call, Atmanirbhar. This came thanks to China. And then the moment China saw that India has got a resolve, India is not going back, India is not the same India of 1962. You know what happened? The way they had come, the faster they came, much faster they went away from the Pangso. There is a reason for that. China has not seen war last 41 years compared with our soldiers. We have fought not only Siachen, but the Kargil. We are battle hardened, and our soldiers know how to survive in the extreme condition with rarefied oxygen. They can. Plus, China today is demographically in a decline state. What has happened? The China during Mao Zedong, because of their overpopulation, they went for a one son or one child per family. And that is now negative dividend they are reaping out of that. The Chinese soldiers, most of them are conscript. Conscript means from college they go for 2-3 years. That is and they are coming from one son family. Now, if you all can understand, If you are a four sibling, then everything is honky dory fine. But if you are only one, you get lot of affection. So they are pampered lot. They don't have zeal to fight. And India evolved the strategy. Our strategy was based on three C's: capability build up for deterrence. We did the quick mobilization. We built the infrastructure, be it road, bunkers, bridges, whatever we could have done in 3 years, were done in 6 months. And we also showed credibility. That is important. That Indians can work, and generally Indians work under stress. If you have got exam, then only study. So you do that. That is our culture. So we did that. We showed them the resolve that if you have come to Pangso, we can also do something like that. We occupied Kailash Range heights between the August 29-30 last year. And this gave them shock because we were sitting top on the hill looking on the Moldo garrison. And we gave them back digital. They were doing digital strike. We banned their Chinese apps. We ousted Chinese companies. We restricted. And for Indo-Pacific region, for the littoral oceanic countries, we formed Quad with like-minded democracies, India, US, Australia, and Japan. They came together. And the third C we used was the communication. We were very effective in conveying Chinese, listen, you may be superpower, but we are also none less. We conveyed them at all the three levels in equal measure, in firm determination, be it militarily, diplomatically, or politically. It was conveyed loud and clear that we are not going to negotiate with you, talk with you. China wanted that you would carry on trade and we will resolve the border issue later on. We said nothing doing. And so where we are. Before I conclude, let me come back to the biological thing. This biological warfare is going to stay, though it is not coming in media much, because every nation is doing it, but in hush, hush, hush manner. I will quote some of the things which DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, like our DRDO is there in US. It has what they are doing, what are their efforts, which are how they are coping up with this biological weapon challenges. They have come with biosurfactant emulsions, tissue-based biosensors to provide realistic alerts. That means that there will be tissues, because moment in a room, if let's say the quantity of viruses increases, this tissues, the sensors will give alert. If somebody is coughing again and again, it will produce millions of the viruses, and these viruses will be then interact with this bio tissues, and you can get the alert. So they are developing this. Generic and polyvalent immunosensors have been devised to detect biological agents that causes metabolic damages, and there are laser eyes to detect this is being developed, electronics noses to sense and incorporate alarms. They have done detect it with gene editing technology, DiGET. They have evolved epigenetic characterization and observation programs focused on rapid discovery, validation, manifestation of, and manufacturing of diagnostic tools. That means today it is not only one virus. Now, once you know in this game, you can keep producing a lot of kinds of various mutants and various different types of. In fact, I don't know how much of you all noticed. Day before yesterday, there was a news, and I have got on my WhatsApp. I will send to your web coordinator Sid. You can take from him. Uh, Chinese Wuhan lab has similar kind of more viruses, which can be, if they think they can release it. So, and we are also coping it. We have coped it. We are the pharmaceutical lab of the world. Without API, the active in pharmaceutical ingredients used to come, which makes most of the generic drugs used to come from China. Now we are realizing, and we are standing on our feet, trying to stand. We will. We have dealt this thing, but every country now has learned that response for such things will be resilient. What you mean by resilient is you cannot stop the attack. Attack will be there, but it is how fast you get back into mode. You don't have to go for a lockdown. Without lockdown, because lockdown was used basically to build your infrastructure. Like you will never have, we never had PPE, mask, anything. So that was used, and we have produced. So the economic activity has to continue, but the prevention, the measures, the suitable vaccines needs to be on fast track. Generally, vaccines used to take 2 years, 3 years, a lot of testing, a lot of this thing. So a lot of shortcut has been done. Now they have compressed it, and you will never know. You have to compress it much higher. Today we have got Covishield and Covaxin. Tomorrow you will get Johnson and Johnson and Sputnik. So two more will be added. World is fighting, and most important is the resilient of the your frontline warrior. We have created a lot of infrastructure, no doubt. Swachh Bharat, Swasth Bharat has taken place, but we are very far. Just give, I will give two quick statistics, and I think we are near 5 p.m. 1,50,000 health and wellness centers is required for effective management of all this. 1,50,000 health and wellness center. Today we have got 40,000 only. We have to build this. It is being built under Swasth Ayushman Bharat program. It is being built on fast pace. Similarly, as per World Health Organization, for population of 1,000, we have to have, every 1,000 you have to have one doctor. We have got on 1,456. So there is a news that 141 new medical colleges are being sanctioned and will produce more medical students. We have to fight it out. There is no way. But on the part one, India has subdued China without fighting. We stood up against China, and though China is becoming and emerging as superpower, we are not less. We will also be, if you all young dynamic students contribute to this. You know, I'll just one more line, because this is very important. You all should know. China has invested a lot on their manpower education. They send the students to various great universities all over the world. And what was the treaty? It's a program. You go, do MTech, do PhD, do research, serve there for 15 years. But after that, you come back and invest here. And this is the way a nation is built. A nation has been built. And 2035, China is seeing to proclaim itself as one of the number one power. Let us see when we can match it up. But I'm very sure we will follow it. Sid, thank you. I'm over. And what you have planned, you have got some questions. We'll see.
Yes, sir. We got the question, a few questions from the participants. I'll just read one by
Yeah.
one. Sir,
Please read and so that I can respond. Yeah.
is Russia trying to earn profit out India-China conflict?
See, each and every country uh, takes out its pie. So yes, it is interesting. See, in this world, nobody is your fast friend. We were dependent for China, Russia very long, but you all must now be aware because it's all in public domain that we are going slowly towards, not slowly, very fast towards USA because Russia has been back. And one more interesting thing from 1950 to 1970, China leaned on Russia. It was very, very pro Russia. In 1970, Henry Kissinger, the national advisor of that time, the national security advisor of that time of Nixon, this gentleman changed the dimension and he went into China. And from 1970 to 1990, China was very, very pro America. So, all over the American universities, you have Chinese. Most of the American companies are invested in China, be it Apple, be it Google, be it any. Though you are not allowed to Google or all those things are not allowed, but all this company invested in China because China gave them the ecosystem. Not only to America, it gave to the world and Japan, everybody went there and invested. We, when used to make our own motors, for example, Usha company, you must have heard, they used to make fan. Now they don't make fan. They buy it from China and they put a stamp and they sell. We had a big ceramic industry. All that ceramic industry has gone. We buy everything, even tiles and everything from China and supply. You all know much better. What I'm saying is that this geopolitical situation keep on changing and everybody is there to earn their pie. So yes, now again, because America is number one, again China is aligning with Russia. Therefore Russia is not very, very vocal when China attacked. So yes, but again, because of our legacy friendship, Russia has not gone. Plus, we are buying. Still, we are exporting, importing from Russia. It's the number one arms exporter to us. So we have got S-400. It is a big case of multi-billion-dollar which is pending. So yes, it can be. We cannot deny that. Sid, next.
Next question is, what are all the actions taken against China or Wuhan labs by World Health Organization?
You know better. World Health Organization went and they just declared only one thing. They declared that yes, it has come from bat, but that's all. The WHO main person, he is on the payroll. Who gives more money? Not America. World Health Organization is totally dependent on Chinese money. So you feed World Health Organization. World Health Organization is listening to you. They never declared this as a great pandemic. They never shouted. This all are politics. So, and even America is saying, everybody is saying, nothing can be done. So it's a in the UN, China is there. Everywhere China is there. China has entangled Germany. Country like Germany is not able to open their mouth. Just imagine. The Europeans are countries are very silent, except France, which opened, but UK, and now of course Trump and Biden is also following, or Australia. That's all. It's a very geopolitical situation is, and it is a subject by entirely by itself. Yeah.
Sir,
Next.
what about the development of drone delivery system? So for counteracting these type of biological warfare that India
Yes.
can develop in future.
Yes. Yes. You all should take up the project. That's what I said. Quadcopter, insect copter. There is called something called insect copter, small copters, and IIT Madras, IIT Kanpur. They are developing this. You all should take up this swarm technology. Swarm technology is a very good technology where the whole swarm will go, and it should not only navigate into GPS mode, it should be in the GPS denied environment. All these projects should be taken up. What we are doing right now, all these things are being developed. DRDO labs are there, and they are developing. And now it has been given to the private industry also. So yes, things are being taking place. Next.
Sir, are there any chances of India getting seat in UN Security Council in the current situation? The permanent
UN
seat
Security
in UN
Council,
Security Council.
permanent. So we have got this year. We have got UN Security Council for 2 years. For
Okay.
permanent Security Council seat, we have to fight the this thing, the battle, because the five permanent countries are using vetoes. China always use vetoes, so we are not being given, we are not being denied. But yes, so and that's what India always is asking USA. Now, slowly people will realize and make it. So, but we have entered into one or two UN bodies, and we are this for 2 years. Next 2 years, we are in the UN Security Council. Yes,
Okay. Sir, almost all UN
but
members,
this all
including,
this.
tell me.
Uh,
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 please carry on.
I mean, what I'm saying is that almost most of the UN bodies, no, these people are Chinese are sitting there because of a lot of money, and they have penetrated the media. They have the Washington Post, the New York Times. All these papers are given a lot of money, pumped in a lot of money by the Chinese. China is a huge monetary power. Yes.
Okay.
Next.
So then also, since China
Any
is
more?
too economically strong to go head to head in
Mm-hmm.
any race, to be in the technological and economical and arms race, so would a more
Mm-hmm.
prudent approach would be to tie its response down in many fruitless or resource training activities by projecting a false sense of strength without being tempted to follow in their path. Uh, is that like something asking what about the US is doing in this particular thing? Any,
I could not get the what. Once again, not very clear. What is the question?
so since China is too economically strong and
Yes.
technologically and economically it is in the arms race. So, is there
Hmm.
anything like from the US can do to China in this regard and controlling it?
Yes, we are doing that quad. We have formed up quad, and we are trying to answer these questions. Uh, it cannot happen one in a single day because a lot of American money is also involved in China. So China has got entangled with all the countries. So there's a lot of issues here. It is not. very simple that America can kick out the China. China knows that it is not that easy. And China is building a new axis, China with Iran, with Pakistan, with North Korea, with Turkey. So new axis is being built. So all this, it's a geopolitical situation, it's a political thing, and it's evolving. India is also trying to align itself now, trying to align. And alignment doesn't happen in one day. For alignment, it is not. It is all quid pro basis. That means I invest you, you invest me, I give you money, you give me money. So that trade. And with China, we were in trade deficit. With only in US, we had a trade surplus. So all this is the economy entangled with commerce, entangled with military, entangled with politics. So a lot of things are there.
How about the effectiveness of Quad
Next,
in Indo-Pacific region?
uh, yeah. So Quad has been in the uh, line for last many years. But first time, this time, you all have seen at the prime minister level, they had a meeting, and now they are taking it seriously. Quad basically was not for the military, but now this democracies, Japan and Russia and Australia not Russia, Australia, and they are coming together. We are doing naval exercises being carried on. So it is a forming up. So yes, it is building up, and this is the one forum which we all think that if gets structurized, if got reinforced, then yes, Quad is the one solution for giving answer to the Indo-Pacific region, and then slowly we can include the littoral countries, the Philippines, the Vietnamese, the other nations on the littoral. So yes, Quad is one answer which is being looked into.
Sir, how to hold the China accountable for its actions, or is resilience the only solution for now?
Pardon?
How to hold China accountability of China's action?
How, who, who will hold it? That's what I'm asking. The World Health Organization is the World Health Organization is the body, and that body is the pet of China. Only their doctor went and they have given clean chit to China. So again they are being asked. So who will hold accountable to China? Somebody should be more powerful, na? A powerful nation can hold accountable, and there is not one single powerful nation. We have to become equivalent and more than China, then only we can hold accountable. All the nations have to come together. They are coming slowly. It is happening.
Okay, sir.
Anything more?
We have a similar question. So can Quad develop into the Asian version of NATO?
You have planned up to how many?
Yeah, sir.
Quad, pardon? Quad?
Can Quad develop into Asian version of NATO?
Yes, that is what the aim should be. That is what the aim should be. But see, it is not that you and my desire. There are four countries, the four prime minister, the four people. They have to get aligned, and so and everybody. Please understand. Everybody understand that Australia has got its own dynamics with China. Japan has got its own dynamics. Japan money is also there in China. So it is not that very easy that okay, tomorrow you form a NATO and form a CIATO or form. It is not very easy. It is happening. You all should read this. These all questions. These are very the generic nature and very this. You all are students. You should read it and read enough. Okay, I will say that you all should come up and read this thing. That why Quad cannot become JATO. You should have told me that what all the things there. Okay, so read. As young students, you should read, and good that I'm getting a lot of strategic questions. It shows that you are very strategically interested. But then it is advised that you should read much, because it is not that you are going to be just engineer, but if you are going to be aeronautical, you have to somewhere you have to get aligned with this geopolitical situation. So you have to read economy, you have to read biology, you have to read everything. Don't think that you are just reading aeronautics is going to give you anything. No, today world is very dynamic. The Chinese students have gone and done PhD. So you should ask how you should be given PhD degree. You should ask your institution how you should become number one China, and which are the best Chinese institution. You should know about the China. You should have the query about the China, not on these things. So I want you all to read about China, know China, understand psychology of the China. Then only you can fare it up. If you want to stand up against your enemy, please understand that enemy. That's what the Sun Tzu says, and it is very important. So please, I suggest that you all should first of all learn Mandarin, learn Cantonese, learn these languages, and then get into this. You can beat the China by their own means. So as a student, go for it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So
Thank you.
we are very thankful to Air Vice Marshal Pranay Kumar Hridesh Sinha, VSM, advisor
Thank you, sir.
BL
Thanks.
ARL Bengaluru, for sharing his valuable experience with us. I'd like to thank sir on behalf of the Falcon Aeronautical Students Association, and also on behalf of the management of NMIT, Principal Dr. S.C.
Yes.
Nagraj, then the webinar organizers Dr. Pramod Kumar Dash, HOD Department of Aeronautical Engineering, Dr. Wing Commander P.B. Shetty, retired Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank you.
for showcasing your experience and sharing with us.
Th-
Dear,
Thank
dear
you, sir.
participants,
Thank.
feedback link and the certificate link will be sent to the registered mail ID. Thank you for your valuable time.